What's good, everybody? RJ Shelton here, back with another episode of BD Boys. As you see here on the screen, my good brother James Muenchow, aka Jimmer, aka Jim Bob Cooter. What's happening, man? We had you tucked away, but now we're back. We got football on the way. We got our Bucks unfortunately done. We got the Brewers here. We got golf.
We got a lot of things. We got baseball.
What's going on, brother?
We got a lot going on, man. It's been a month. It's a big month and a half since we've been talking. We have a lot to cover and a lot of exciting things, a lot of not exciting things. So we got a lot to talk about here.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and hop right into it here. Obviously, the Green Bay Packers, we love always to start them off first. Schedule came out. I'm just going to go ahead and rattle off just by week kind of what we got going in this 2025-2026 season. Week 1, Detroit. Week 2, Commanders. Week 3, Browns. Week 4, Dallas. Then a bye, which is horrific. Bengals, week 6. Week 7, we got the Cardinals. Week 8, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers. Week 9, we have the Carolina Panthers. Week 10, Monday night against the Philadelphia Eagles. Week 11, we have the New York Giants. Week 12, we have the Minnesota Vikings. Week 13, we have the Lions. Week 14, we have the Bears. Week 15, we have the Broncos. Week 16, we have the Bears. Week 17, we have the freaking Ravens. And the last we end is against the Minnesota Vikings. Holy shit, this is a schedule.
Yeah, I mean, when you take into account NFC North was where you made your money in years past. Yeah. Lions were cupcakes. Bears may have been tough, and the Vikings may have been tough, or maybe one of them was good, one wasn't. And then there was times where all of them were bad. So you were going to guarantee almost 6 wins right as the schedule came out. Then it just depends who play. But now, after you just went 1-5 and got lucky to get 1-5 in your NFC North division, you ain't got no cupcakes. You may have one cupcake on this schedule. The Panthers, maybe a cupcake, depending on what happens. You never know. Bryce Young, year 3, you saw what he did in the end of year 2. Looked really good, really promising. They got some good draft capital. Cardinals, year 2 for Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, year 2 after a pretty big injury, year 2 of a new head coach. Steelers, tough defense. Rodgers going to be there. Never know. Giants is probably your cupcake. It's in New York, unfortunately, but what happened to a game where a third-string quarterback years ago? It was a third-string quarterback on Monday Night Football. This is fine. You lost that game. So, scary. And then you got year 2 of Caleb Williams, year 1 of J.J. McCarthy. Only unfortunate thing about that is you don't see J.J. McCarthy till around Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
He may settle in. He may be benched. You never know. So, and then, of course, the Lions are the Lions. Broncos are probably going to be they might be a top 4, they might be a division winner. I mean, you got Kansas City in that division, but their defense is legit. Year 2 of Bo Nix, more draft capital. You don't know. How are the Kansas City Chiefs going to bounce back from their first Super Bowl loss? First one? Is that the first one they lost?
I think it's the second one.
I want to say, yeah. The second one?
Maybe first or second. Close enough.
Oh, the first one was Patrick Mahomes' rookie year against Tom Brady, but that was before the dynasty started.
True.
Before everyone was like, okay, now the Chiefs are going to get their calls. They're gonna just be one of the best postseason teams ever. How does this feel? Probably Travis Kelce's last year. So the AFC West, in my opinion, wide open. Unless you're the Las Vegas Raiders. It could be, but I just don't see it. Exciting for the Las Vegas Raiders, but probably not going to happen. I wouldn't put my money on it. Ravens, Lamar Jackson. Get him at home, thankfully. Who knows? You're hoping then by then maybe you got something locked up because that's the last week of the season, or second to the last week of the season. So hopefully maybe you got something locked up. Okay, we're in a really good wild card push, or maybe even a division push. I don't really see that. The Browns, Cleveland. That's week 3. Is it going to be 41, 42, 43-year-old Joe Flacco, or is it going to be Shedeur Sanders? Is it going to be the other kid they picked? That team could be a dumpster fire in week 3, so that could be another cupcake game. The Commanders week 2. Is Jaden Daniels for real, or was it or are we going to go into sophomore slump? Their defense isn't as good, but their offense is very, very now, especially. So,
Right.
going over, Bengals could be interesting. Cowboys, what's that team going to be like? You never know what Dallas is going to bring. Super Bowl champion Eagles, that's going to be a rough one. Thank God you got them at home, so you got a chance. Any game at Lambeau, I like to think Green Bay has a chance. So you just kind of round it out. I think you're looking at maybe another 10-7 season, 11-6, maybe even 9-8. Because it's hard to judge now, and it's going to be even harder to judge in camp. It's going to be harder to judge in preseason. Why? You're going to get your hype. You're going to get Matthew Golden is burning everybody. You're going to get Rashawn Gary is pushing around linemen like that he's playing children. You're going to get Tom is clamping everybody. You're going to get Jordan Love looks like is throwing Aaron Rodgers dimes all over the field. You're going to get all that. I mean, you're going to hear about the cuts. You're going to hear about the guys that are on the fringe. Jair Alexander, maybe he's in a really good mood. Maybe he's going to skip everything. You never know. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. You know what? Maybe even after week 1, you might see a 35-14 loss from the Lions. And then you go, okay, well, is it the end of the season? No, but now you got the Commanders, and you got to bounce back quick right away. I kind of like getting that Thursday game out of the way because, well, you're going to have another one at the end towards the middle of the season, but thankfully you have that. After you have Vikings-Packers in week 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. At week 12, you got the Vikings at noon. 4 days later, you got the Lions. I think that might be a Thanksgiving game. But then you have a mini bye, thankfully, because you're going to have a bye really early. And there's pros and cons to early buys. One, you get to self-assess really early. Okay, we played 4 games. How do we look? What do we got to change? If you go 2-2, 1-3, God fucking forbid you go 0-4, or maybe you go 4-0, 3-1. Okay, but either way, 4 games in, what do we get? What do we got to change? What is working? What's not working? You can make a really quick assessment. But then you go on a grinding schedule. You get the short game right out of the way. Everybody's going to be hopefully healthy. Like, that's the healthiest Thursday night game you're going to get that's not week 1. So you don't have to worry about guys bumps and bruises. You get a week off after the last week of preseason between week 1. So you're going to have a break, you're going to have a game, and then you're going to have a 4-day turnaround. I think that's a really good thing because let's say you do lose against the Lions. Okay, we got to have short memory. We got to get back to it. We're home again against the Commanders. Really great turnaround. Or you win, same deal. So the schedule, I don't mind. You got some easier games are on the road, which is unfortunate because it's never easy winning in the NFL. It's also never easy winning on the road. But then you have some of your tougher games at home, which helps. So as of right now, I'm going to be of course, terrible analysis. I'm not going to get too greedy. I think it's either going to be like between 9-8, 11-6. 9-8, 11-6. Because after last year, you gotta give a lot of injuries, a lot of rookies are going to come in, especially to your special positions, which we'll get into that. So right now, I'm thinking it's going to be like a 10-7, 9-8 season. If these rookies integrate, maybe leaning towards 11-6 and maybe 12-5 or 11-6, 12-5. But if they don't, and it's a really slow start, probably 9-8. So we'll see though. The schedule, I think it favors Green Bay early. I like the early break. The back half's going to be tough. You're going to have to lock in, but that's why I'm hoping this early break maybe helps them. Get 4 games and reassess. So We'll see, though. We got a long way to go. We haven't even started. I was just up in Green Bay for dart tournament. I saw some of the rookies walking back out of the Dodd Hudson Center back to Lambeau. So they're there. They're there. They're already working. I didn't really scope anybody out, but I just saw the yellow shorts carrying some stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's probably some Packers. So, but they're there. They're going to be working. We're going to hear some stuff out of camp come August. A mini camp in July. And then we got 18 nice long weeks of hopefully even 19 or 20 long weeks of great football. You just can't deny football of anything. So, but we got a long summer here. We haven't even hit summer, really. Yeah, it's raining out right now, but we got a long summer to go, man.
No, we definitely do. We can just go ahead and roll right in, obviously, to the draft class. I think this year's another masterpiece by Goody of just continuing to go ahead and get the right people into this organization. We don't talk about that a lot, but I mean, the last year's draft, to go ahead and what they did impact-wise, hopefully go ahead and see this again, which I definitely think we will, with Golden, Williams, Oliver, guys that we've got from just rounds 1 through 7. We've always been an organization to go ahead and draft the right people at the right time. Talk to me a little bit about this draft class, and obviously the first years and many years that we went ahead and took a wide receiver number 1. Definitely went ahead and had some guys that are previously on our team maybe be like, all right, am I the guy? Which obviously we'll get and talk about that in more depth and obviously give our perception on that. But hell of a draft class, man. I'm excited to see these guys go ahead and go to work. My biggest one is the DN from Texas. I think he's going to be a household name in Green Bay.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'll tell you this, too. I was at the draft.
Yeah.
First of all, that was perfectly set up. I'm telling you, man, like, I've seen some things. You and I went to the NBA championship when the Bucks clinched it in 6. We saw that spectacle, and I thought I'd never see anything quite like that ever again. I went to the Titletown celebration after Green Bay won in 2011. Saw that spectacle. I thought I'd never see anything like that again. I'm telling you, this was different. You had drink stands, you had food stands, you had beer halls. They had Lambeau Field wide open. Get in there, see the field. And it was for free. Like, not the drinks and everything, but get in there for free. They don't even going to charge you anything. And then, so me and my stepdad, we went. It was a great time. Met us with some friends.
Shout out to Mitch.
We put it together on Monday. I don't recommend planning this thing on Monday. We stayed in a camper in somebody's driveway. Like, that's as Green Bay as it gets. It was awesome. So I'm going to be brutally honest with everybody. I went into the draft at around 2. It's 2 o'clock. I'm like, okay, this is going to be a long time till 7. You know, walked around, saw some things. I got some lines. You could get some free stuff just by having QR codes. Like, oh, your QR code here, get in this line. So we had some drinks, a lot of drinks. We made our way from the back, which was not the stage was. I was on the other opposite end of the stadium of the stage, checking some stuff out, some nice promotional booths, tents. There was a big merchandise tent in the back. Made our way around front where the stage was. I got to see Nick Saban. I got to see Pat McAfee. I got to see Reese Williams. I got to see Mel Kiper, which hopefully that's the last time I ever see Mel Kiper. That was just unreal. Oh, that whole 3 days. I've never screamed at a TV so much. We get to the front. It's 4 o'clock. Draft's not for another 3 hours. They put the stage on the street in between the Resch Center and Lambeau, where the parking lot is. So the whole street's covered, which is not a very big street, but and then like a little bit of the parking lot was taken up by the tents that you saw with everybody inside underneath the canopy. That you're like, how do they get those tickets? Well, they were $500 to $1,000. So there you go. Not paying. Homie ain't paying that. Half full. The parking lot is half full. At 4 o'clock, I literally looked, and I'm not kidding, I looked at my stepdad and he goes, do you want to go back and get free food and drink at some people's houses we just went to before we got in here? I'm like, yeah. I'm sitting there going, what if I get blocked in this thing and I got to go take a piss? I'm not trying to wig and weave my way through there, get to porta potties that are probably 4 or 5 people deep, maybe get another drink, which then I'm just going to piss out 20 minutes later. I'm not going to do that. You know what? I saw the stage. I was there. And he's like, do you want to go watch it on TV where we can see and hear everything? Absolutely. I saw what I needed to see. I'm out. So we went. We got some food, met us with some great friends. And then the draft started. We started watching it on TV. And then he kind of just got, you know what? I want to go back. Like, you want to go back into the draft? He goes, no, not into the draft. Let's go to a bar. So we went to Anduzzi's, which is literally spitting distance from Lambeau. And when Matthew Golden was picked, I could hear it from outside because we were on a rooftop.
Right.
So open air, open everything. I could hear. We were on a little bit of a delay. It felt like it was a DUE heel or face turn, just a big pop. And I'm like, oh my God, they just picked him. They just picked a wide receiver. I don't even care who it is. They just picked a wide receiver the first time. Because I was in a bar and there's people kind of screaming and everything. I couldn't hear it. And then I just heard eruption from Lambeau Field. I'm like, oh my God, he took a wide receiver. And Matthew Golden pops up. And Mitch doesn't kind of follow these things like that. He's like, is that good? I'm like, I'm like, we just got probably the best wide receiver in the draft. He's like, better than Travis Hunter? I'm like, yes, better than Travis Hunter because Travis Hunter is a wide receiver. He's a corner.
Right.
Dude's a stud. He ran a 4.2. He runs in the 4.2s. He has the best hands at wide receiver, which thank God somebody has great hands on this team because that was what Green Bay literally killed Jordan Love with last year was drops. From Jaden Reed to Dontavion Wicks. Also with Christian Watson. It's also your biggest need. Why Christian Watson's probably going to be out till week 12. 12 weeks without your number one. And then your other number one pulled a Houdiniac last year and missed everybody. Like Jaden Reed, the best wide receiver that Green Bay had 2 years ago, all of a sudden just had a really down year. I don't know why. You know, who knows? So you got somebody to stretch the field now with elite speed and really good hands. Big playmaker, played in a lot of big games for Texas, playing in the SEC, National Championship, you name it. Kind of got him to where it is. And so you went, okay, that's a big draft pick. Like you needed that draft pick. And then then you see a couple reports of Christian Watson's dad is back on Twitter like that. That man does not know how to shut his goddamn mouth. Talking about how be careful what you wish for. Well, I wish for your son to catch a fucking ball. Did I say that out loud? Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe he should stay healthy for once in a while. Okay, I've said my piece. Tavion Wicks, the same thing. I'm like, Jaden Reed came. I was like, are you guys kidding me? You three were the biggest disappointments of all last year. So I loved Goody's nuts on that. He's being like, you guys think you're better, then prove it. But other than that, if you don't do it, this guy's going to come in and do it. So then you go to day 2. They draft Anthony Belton, tackle. Okay, I don't know much about this guy. Of course not. I don't watch the offensive linemen, like other than the top 5 best linemen. I looked at this guy. I was like, mother of God. He's 6'7", 330. That is
can move.
House. And yeah. So you were like, wait a minute. Now, here's Jimmy's thing. Don't be surprised if you draft an offensive tackle in the first round. Well, guess what? They waited until the second. And you're like, why? Why are they drafting an offensive? Like, there's some really good talent. You need corner yet. You don't know what's going on with your corner position. You might need another wide receiver. Who knows? Like, I thought it was a little shocking. And then you looked a little deeper. Rasheed Wallace is coming up on his last year of his contract this year. I firmly believe that the Packers also firmly believe that Rasheed Walker is probably going to outprice himself to Green Bay. He plays really well. I think he's probably a top 10 tackle in the league. And if he's not, then he's a very serviceable tackle where people are just not going to be like, well, he's going to get the job done. He's not going to go all pro, but he's also not going to be the worst tackle in the league. He's going to be above average. Perfect. So he's going to get money. Then you got Sean Ryan, who's the right guard position now, might also outprice himself. You never know. He only has one full season under his belt, so you never know about that. And then you got Elton Jenkins. A couple weeks ago, now Elton Jenkins is upset. I don't know why. It seems like he's upset moving into center. Why are you so upset about moving into center? Jason Kelsey, all-pro center, probably a Hall of Fame center, said, what's the easiest position to play in the NFL? Oh, it's easy. It's center. Why? You snap the ball and you look for help. All you do. Now, he's like, my job was a little different because I was so athletic. They had me pulling. They had me doing stuff a center usually doesn't do. And last time I checked, I don't think Matt LaFleur has a lot of pulling center plays in his playbook. But you never know. He might incorporate it. So he's getting paid like a guard at the center position. Like, guard gets paid a lot more than center. So I just don't see why he's being so fucking prima donna. And it's starting to become like that with Jaden Reed in the wide receiver room. It's getting really interesting with the Green Bay Packer locker room. So why do they do this? Well, Jordan Morgan last year replaced Sean Ryan at guard, and then Anthony Belton could replace Wallace at tackle. Or vice versa. Anthony Wallace could play guard. That's a big fucking guard. Like 330, good luck moving that. And then Jordan Morgan was a tackle naturally, so he could play tackle. It's just preparing for – this is how you stay good. You draft offensive tackles. It's not sexy, but it's what keeps Jordan Love upright and your franchise quarterback healthy, which wins you more games than not. And then you go to the third-round pick, which shocked us all. Deion Williams, TCU, freak athlete. Like, he might be the freakiest athlete in the draft. The problem is that he doesn't have very good hands. A lot of drops. He had a lot of drops in his college career, but then he was a punt returner and a gadget player. So now you don't have to have Jaden Reed, potentially one of your best offensive weapons, running bubbles or running jet sweeps, potentially getting his face ripped off by offensive linemen. I remember you yelling at the TV for a couple games going, why is your best wide receiver running jet sweeps? Like, he's going to get killed and he's going to get hurt. So this could help.
You got Josh Jacobs back there that runs 5 yards a pop. Yes. Hand the ball off.
So this could be we're just going to get him the ball and let his freak athleticism take over without sacrificing Jaden Reed, which is fine. Like, I'm okay with it. Could be a punt returner, which an athlete like that being a punt returner, kick returner, because Keyshawn Nixon doesn't want to return kicks anymore. Whatever. But he's a freak athlete. You hope 4-3 guy. You hope they use him like Deebo Samuel. He played a lot of running back as well, so you kind of look at him as Deebo Samuel, Cordell Patterson. And you hope he becomes James Jones, where James Jones had a lot of drops earlier in his career, along with Devontae Adams. And then all of a sudden, those two just caught everything. So you hope he becomes like that, or just a guy where you could go, okay, you're going to return punts, you're going to return kicks, you're going to take a lot of jet sweeps, you're going to take a lot of bubble screens, you're going to basically do possibly a lot of dirty work for us that nobody else wants to do, which for some guys, they're like, just give me that. I'll take a check. I'll give you everything I have. I know I'm not going to be number one. Guy who accepts his role, that's fantastic. And then we get to your guy. This is the last one I'm going to break down because after 5, 6, and 7, it's kind of like we don't know. Those are diamonds in the rough, but potentially it could be, or they're just guys who are like, okay, they're not anything. They're special teams players, or they're just the squad guys. Baron Sorrell. This dude's a brick shithouse. I saw him in a suit, and I was like, legs coming out of your shoulders. Like, what on? And you were like, dude, like, have you seen this guy play? I'm like, I mean, not really. I mean, I just watched Texas. Like, if I was watching Texas, I wasn't like, oh, that's Baron Sorrell right there. No. I was like, ugh. Like, that guy is wide. And he had the fastest 10-yard split out of anybody in the defensive end or edge rusher in the combine. I think he was a second, but I put top 3 in bench press. Dude's strong. He benched the third most amount or potentially second most amount in bench. So the dude's just got nasty upper body strength. This was another statement pick. Like you could have went corner here. You could have went another offensive lineman potentially, which when you get into these rounds, you don't really care that much. You're like, okay. They went defensive end, and actually they doubled down the 5th round. But this was, hey, Gary, Lucas Van Ness for sure. Anybody else? Devontae Wyatt. You could have went D tackle in this situation too. I better step up because if not, I'm just going to bring a bunch of younger dudes in here who will do the job. So you already saw last year with a couple young guys kind of taking some snaps away from Lucas Van Ness because he just wasn't producing. They looked hungrier. So that was another. Y'all better get going or else we're just going to replace you. That's what essentially the league is. That's professional sports in a nutshell. I remember the video of Bradley Beal talking to a bunch of 16-year-old kids in AAU who are some of the top-rated teams, and he's like, if you don't do it, they're just going to wave your ass goodbye.
Right.
So that draft was shocking, but very aggressive, and I think it was a sexy draft because you got wide receivers, you got edge rushers, and then you got another insurance policy at offensive line. And then that answered a lot of questions. What's going on in the Jair situation? We thought it was like, okay, Jair's staying. It sounds like he is, but it also sounds like they're still open to maybe a team calls in the summer and says, hey, we'll take him. What do you need? Right. It's not out of the realm of possibility with Hobbs, Keyshawn Nixon, and Carrington Valentine still on the team. Because again, if Jair goes, you have Keyshawn Nixon, Nate Hobbs, and Carrington Valentine, all who can play outside. Keyshawn can play inside. Nate Hobbs is better on the inside, so keep Keyshawn out of the middle and keep him outside. Or you could put, how do I forget his name? Javon Bullard, the safety, who can also play inside. And then you got Evan Williams back there and Xavier McKinney. Your secondary with Jair is deep. Like if Jair goes down and plays 8 games, guess what? We got guys to replace him. If your safeties go down, guess what? We got guys to replace them. So secondary is deep. And then you had some things happen after the draft. They exercised a 5th-year option on Devontae Wyatt. I think that was needed because you look at the defensive tackle, Kenny Clark's getting older. He didn't really have a good season last year, so you need interior dudes. And they didn't exercise the option of Quay Walker. Why? Well, they just signed Isaiah Simmons, who I think is going to either be a stud middle linebacker or he's just going to have to step in at edge and just rush the quarterback. Isaiah Simmons is very athletic, along with Quay Walker. Now, Quay Walker, year 1 in this system, did very well. I think he did very, very well, especially with a guy like Edgerrin Cooper next to him. So maybe that they're going to do something with Quay's contract, maybe sign him to an extension like, hey, we'll guarantee you some money. It's not big money, but we're going to guarantee you it. People just want guaranteed money. So maybe... But he hasn't done anything to jump off the page to ask for top 5 money, like some people who coming off rookie contracts. Like he's not going to get the dude from the San Francisco 49ers who just got an extension yesterday. He's Fred Warner. He's not going to get Fred Warner money. Why? He's not Fred Warner. There's only one Fred Warner. So there's a lot of things. And then also with the edge rushers, you have a new defensive line coach, Demarius Covington. Previously was defensive coordinator at the Patriots. So if he got that job, the guy's got to know what he's doing at least. So, again, this is a long way, but this draft was very aggressive and it showed Green Bay's hand and here's what we're going to be doing. So I think the Green Bay Packers once again put themselves in a great position to be great long term. And yeah, you might say last year was a very underwhelming season. Well, guess what? Your franchise quarterback played hurt 90% of the season, maybe even 95. The 5% he played healthy was the first game. So maybe the last game he wasn't even healthy then. He had a broken hand or he had a sprained hand or something. He was just hurt all season. So let's see what a healthy Jordan Love does for this team going forward. And maybe once again, we can maybe get back into the playoffs, maybe win the NFC North, challenge the Detroit Lions for the NFC North title.
Yeah, no, it's definitely around the corner, man. Can't wait. We will definitely be on top of that with the Green Bay Packers and all the things that they do with now until week 1 of the season. Let's move on over. It's obviously the talk of the town within the NBA. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Obviously, we all know the Bucks are done. You're seeing crazy reports. You're seeing things that are just outlandish, in my opinion. I have my piece on it already. You go ahead and let these people know what you feel about this whole situation, man.
It's short. It's going to be short and sweet to the point. He ain't going anywhere. Like, he is not going anywhere. I'm not saying that because it's not a biased situation. I listen to Pat Bev. Listen to him exclusively. It popped up, and after the whole Giannis did a Q&A, like a public Q&A on Twitter. What are we doing? You know, people ask you questions, which every answer included a major market city. And Pat Bev goes, trolling all y'all. He's like, he literally said, he goes, if anyone thinks that he talks to any major media outlet or talks to any major media outlet insider, you're crazy. He's like,
Right.
The only person he literally tells what he's thinking to is Thanasis and his family. He's right. Like, no one, he talks to no one. And he goes, and he's the biggest troll. He goes, he's just trolling y'all for fun because it's amusing, because he knows how y'all are going to react. So when I heard Pat Bev say that, I'm like, well, I knew that. Like, yeah. He says, oh, yeah, I'm open, maybe playing. Well, of course you're going to be open to it. Like, eventually Milwaukee's going to be, you don't stay great forever. And when you look at these contract situations in Milwaukee, bro, I'm looking at it right now. It's bad. It is really, really bad. You're going to pay Damian Lillard $54 million next year with a torn Achilles. He's probably not with a torn Achilles. He's probably not going to play next year.
No, he's not playing at all.
Because if he does somehow play, it's because somehow the Bucks made the playoffs and they're still in it by the time he came back. I don't see that. You're going to pay Giannis $54 million. Fine, take that, double it. I don't even care. He's worth it. Kyle Kuzma is going to get $22 million. It might be a little less because they restructured his deal, but at least when you pay him $22 million, he's going to play 60, 70 games instead of Chris Middleton, who would have played 20 games. So again, and Chris Middleton, by the way, I think is a free agent after this season. Maybe he's going to retire. Maybe he doesn't play 40 games again, and he just says, my body can't take it. Thank fucking God Brooke Lopez is off this damn team. But knowing Doc, he might sign him to a $20 million deal because Doc's the biggest idiot coach in the NBA. Bobby Portis right now has a player option of $13 million. He could choose to take that $13 million, which I don't know if he should or shouldn't. Honestly, like, with the way the NBA is playing, he might decline that and say, I'm going to go get $20 million somewhere else.
We would get a good piece for Bobby. We would get a very good piece for Bobby if he decides to go.
If you could do a sign and trade for Bobby, he's 30 now. So he's still in the prime of his career, if you want to call it that, 28 to 32, still in some good years of his career. You could do a sign and trade, get something for Bobby. Like, that's your biggest asset right now. Nobody's going to be trading for Kuzma, especially for $22 million. Pat Connaughton's got a $9 million play option. He's taking that.
Oh, yeah, he's taking that for sure.
This is his last for the NBA. If he gets signed, it's going to be for $2 million or $1 million somewhere to be a ninth player. He might not even be signed. So, and he's 32. So he might even retire. He's made some decent money in the NBA. He's got enough to retire. Kevin Porter Jr. That's somebody you go, oh, I would like to keep him. Well, guess what? He has a player option of $2.5 million. You think the way he played the second half of the season when he got traded to the Bucks that somebody's going to throw him $10, $15 million? Absolutely. He's not going to stay. Like, he's going to be like, hell no, I'm out. I'm not making $2.5 million. Unless, like, he really is like, you know what, I really like it here. But for $2.5 million, He's 25. He might try to cash in on a long-term deal. AJ Green is still contract. No Jericho Sims. You might sign him because you're going to need a big man. He's 26. You might need a big man. Torian Prince, yeah, bye-byes. Gary Trent Jr., I'd probably re-sign, see what you could do with him. I think he played really well down the stretch. Andre Jackson Jr. is signed. Chris Livingston is signed. Again, you might go, who is that, James? No, yeah. Chris Livingston, I don't know. And then Ryan Rollins, who showed some flashes, but that's it. Like, you look at that team and you go, you have a lot of work to do. But by the way, the Bucks don't want to break the cap, and you also don't want to become a tier 1 team. So they're trying to play Moneyball right now with their money. And we also, what happened with Moneyball, and it didn't work out so hot. Oakland Athletics, by the way, are still chasing their championship. You hope that the Bucks do a couple things. One, fire Doc Rivers right now. Why is he still employed? Why?
Please.
I mean, Pat Beverly, again, in that same click goes, I don't know why they're going to, if you're going to fire Doc Rivers now, why wouldn't you just stay with Adrian Griffin? He goes, that's just kind of where I'm at. I get it, but at the same time, Griffin wasn't doing anything great. But also, Doc Rivers has a knack for literally destroying teams. And for him to go in that playoff series 3 games without making an adjustment, and then all of a sudden he goes, oh, Gary Trent Jr., you can play basketball. And then it was just too little too late. So, absolutely ridiculous. You have a lot of high-profile coaches on the NBA market right now that probably would have loved to take on a Dame and Giannis duo, but guess what? That's probably not happening now. I don't know if you can do anything with Dame's contract, because I mean he's hurt. I mean, there's probably something in it where you could save some money, but then the year after, next year, he has a player option for $58 million. He's going to be 36 at that time. He's probably taking that, because that's going to be his last big money deal before all of a sudden he's only getting like, I don't know. I mean, what is low money in the NBA right now? 15 million? I mean, he's just going to be he's just going to be a shooter. Like, that's all his job is going to be. He's not going to be the guy that scores 60, 50 points anymore. So Damian Lillard is definitely going to be there in 26, 27, because he literally can make 58 million. Why wouldn't you say yes to that? So it may not be pretty, but at the same time, at least you know you have a top 2 shooter in the game, top 10 shooter to ever play the game. So the Bucks are in trouble. Let's just get that off our chest right now. The fact that Doc Rivers is still still employed is a problem. It is, and with some of these players potentially leaving, some are good, some are bad, some who are staying, which could be really bad. It might be closer to Giannis leaving than we think, but at the same time, if we're talking right now, is Giannis going to be a buck 25, 26? Yes. Is he going to be a buck 26, 27? Yes. Is he going to be a buck 27, 28 when he has a player option for $62 million? I would like to say yes, because that's lots of monies. So people are like, well, San Antonio said they're going to try to make a call on it. Yeah. Okay, give us Wemby. Because if you want to make an evaluation of how much Giannis is, Brooklyn Nets have what it takes to trade him, and that's literally all their picks for the next 5 years. And here's another reason why the Bucks are in trouble. They don't have a number 1 pick till 2031. They cannot rebuild. Now, I know 60 players are going to only going, and you could do a lot of free agent signings, undrafted free agent signings, but you just missed 5 more years of not getting top talent, top 20 talent, top 25 talent. You missed that opportunity when you traded away Damian Lillard for oh my God, Drew Holiday. When you traded for Jay Crowder for 5 second-round picks. You destroyed it for a couple of aggressive, yes, but unnecessary, I think, yes. When obviously in hindsight, you can't look at an injury. You can't go, oh my God, we can't trade for Damian Lillard because in the playoffs, 24-25, he's going to tear his Achilles. Let's just keep Drew Holiday. In all honesty, they won their championship. They tried to run it back. It didn't work. That right there, after it didn't work, Chris Middleton was getting hurt with his ankles, should have been, we need to trade Chris Middleton now. Drew Holiday, yes, wasn't doing anything offensively, but he plays hard defense. We can keep that. We can build around that. Bobby Portis, you could keep him. I say no. Brook Lopez, you really need to trade him because he is literally going to be able to not be able to move. And then, by the way, don't trade that many picks. I mean, A.J. Johnson right now playing for the Washington Wizards looks pretty damn good. Like, is he going to be a superstar or all-star? Time will tell, but he looks serviceable. That's the guy you just drafted in the first round last year and traded for Kyle Kuzma. Why? Because you needed to offload Chris Middleton, who you should have traded 4 years ago, and you had to put in a sweetener. Well, we're getting an injury-riddled Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. Kuzma plays every game. How about A.J. Johnson? We just drafted him in the first round. Sure, fine, done. So they made some really bad moves. Yes, the Damian Lillard will go down as not a very good move because of the injury. But right. That's unfair.
Unfortunately.
That's unfair to him. So it hasn't worked out. And you know what? Sometimes it works like that. But the Bucks were emotional after a championship. Giannis said, I want to keep my friends around, which we've heard that before in Wisconsin sports, and it didn't work. Sometimes you just got to say, and this is the problem with the NBA being inmates run the asylum. You gave the players too much power, and now look what happens. Giannis didn't wanted Adrian Griffin. Guess what? It didn't work. Now he has to settle for Doc Rivers. He wanted to keep Brook Lopez. Well, guess what? Brook Lopez, I'm surprised he's not in a wheelchair yet because it doesn't look like he can move very well. You had to trade your friend Chris Middleton because of his injuries. We could have probably traded him earlier, but you didn't. And then guess what? They divided once, and it was for Damian Lillard. And it's like, so, and by the way, you wanted to keep Pat Connaughton too, and he's useless. So, this is what happens when the inmates run the asylum sometimes, and now the Bucks are just going to have to deal with it and pull off some master classes in order to stay relevant and keep Giannis here, and then hopefully in a year or two, maybe make some moves. But I think it's going to be a tough road back. I think they're going to be playing game type team now to maybe even 6 seed. Next year they might be an 8 seed, 9 seed. So we'll see. They got the whole summer. Then they got trade deadline. You got a lot of time, but players are going to start making decisions on if they want to pick up these options or not. And then you got to reconstruct your team, and then you got camp, all that. But with no Damian Lillard, just Giannis, with the team they have now, I'm looking at like a 7 seed, 8 seed at best. If they surprise you, it's probably a 5 or 6. But I'm looking at 7 or 8 seed, and you know what? It might even be 9. So it's going to be a rough year next year. Our expectations should not be as high as they were for the past 7 years. Maybe even 5 to 7 years. It's going to be not great. They're going to get beat a lot by better teams. They're going to get beat head-to-head. Middle-of-the-road teams, they should still beat some of the bottom-tier teams, but they might slip up on that one too. So it's going to be frustrating watching the Bucks here soon, especially if Doc Rivers is still at the helm. So we shall see, but I think the Bucks are in big, big trouble here.
Yeah, God bless the Bucks, man. That's all I got to say about it. It's just
yes.
You just hope that, I guess, John Hurst does the right thing in regards of making sure he's building in however it goes.
You have to think economically as well. Like, why would you trade Giannis on Antetokounmpo? Yes, you could potentially rebuild this basketball team. But Giannis brings in the money. That's what brings people to Milwaukee. That's why who
Who
put
knows that?
asses in seats. You trade him, nobody's coming to watch these games, especially with no Damian Lillard next year. So brings the monies not only domestically, internationally. He brings
Right.
out the money. So
Yep.
you're not going to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo as long as he's bringing money in, and that's what he's doing still. So yes, they're not going to win as many games as you would like, or as many games as you have in the past, but he brings them. It's still a money league. You still got to find ways to make money. It's still business, and Giannis Antetokounmpo is what's best for business. So he ain't going anywhere unless you trade superstar for superstar. That's the only reason. And then you better get a fucking house for him as well. You better get 5-10 picks for him as well. So, or pick swaps or something like that. He ain't going anywhere, folks. So y'all can stop talking about it. Just like Nick Saban said, quit asking. Because it just doesn't make sense for the Bucks right now.
Right. Man, all we can do is hope. But let's move on over.
Yeah.
God, Pat Murphy, what's going on with these Brew Crew, man? Something needs to get figured out here. Fuck's sakes. I mean, 23 and 25, NLC. We weren't even at this point for how many games. We already played 50 games damn near. We're 14 and 9 at home, 9 and 16 away. In the past 10 games, 4 and 6. This is a crazy stat that I was looking at too. Obviously, towards the end of the season of last year, but let's see here. So I get the abbreviation right because I always get it wrong here. Our I think it's on base percentage last year. We finished at .326. That was 4th in all of MLB. Right now we are 21st with 308, and that's within 50 games. What the hell is going on, Jimmer?
Well, if you could keep looking, runs their middle of the road. Once again, they're one of the worst runners in scoring position teams in the league, which they have been going back to Craig Counsell. They just don't succeed with runners in scoring position. Batting average, they're 24th, not good. Slugging percentage, they're 28th. They're not hitting extra base hits, home runs, what have you. They're a small ball team, and that's the only. I mean, they won last night, and it took a guy to go 4 for 4. Like, that's what it takes is one guy to freak out. Yes, it was a superstar, thank God. But you have Christian Yelich who's not playing well, even though he's leading the team in home runs and RBIs. He's hitting 194. Like, you can't do that when you're being paid $27 million a year. And pitching, they have so many arms on the injured or IR right now. Or I think it's the IL, but whatever. You all know what I mean. It's bad. Like, it is so bad. Like, they are hurt pitching wise. It's hard to win for them because they just don't have any pitching. They have guys who are literally eating innings up right now just for the sake of eating innings. Brandon Woodruff, I think, he's coming off his shoulder surgery. How is he going to look? No idea. They're going to probably ease his way into it because you don't want him he hasn't even pitched yet. They're being really cautious with him for good reason. You traded for this guy named Quinn Priester. Why? He's an inning eater. Chad Patrick has been okay. He has a 3.35 ERA. You can't really complain about that. That's serviceable. Then you have some other guys who have had some great starts, but then some bad starts. Your bullpen is horrible. Like, you had guys last year.
It's so bad.
And he's going to be out until July. And then you got some other guys in there. And the Jared King, who was really, really good last year. Really, really bad this year. Trevor McGill, really, really good last year. He was a setup role, but then he had to go into the closer role when Devin Williams got hurt. Did really well, and now he's the full-time closer, not very good. Brian Hudson did really well, not anymore. And then you still got Paguero and Payamps, who I'm just not about it. Like, I haven't been about those two for a good 3-4 years now. You just got back Aaron Savale, who was really, really good. He was really, really good 2 years ago, a year ago when you traded him for him. Like, he came in and it was pleasant surprise, but he's coming off an injury, so he's going to take a little bit of revamping. The biggest plus side is Freddie Peralta has a 2.5 ERA. That's service. 2.5 ERA in the big leagues today is pretty good, I would say.
Yeah.
5-3, which probably a couple of those losses were from not enough run support. Good strikeout numbers, good WAR. And then you have the biggest surprise, which is Jose Quintana, who is a Brewer killer. Brewers just couldn't hit him. He comes to the club. He's 4-1 with a 2.65, and he's like 40. Like, I'm just joking about the 40 part, but the dude is not young. Like, he's 36, and he's 4-1. He doesn't throw above 90 miles an hour. He just throws junk, and players just don't seem that they can hit it. So this team is just a lackluster of leadership. They have no leader. They severely lost Willy Adames. Willy Adames was the vocal leader. He was the guy that was, it's 3-0 now, and the Brewers don't look like, something's going to happen. They look stagnant. Oh, Willie just put one out, and now the dugout's up and giddy, and next thing you know, they come back. Or, this team needs a spark. Well, there's your spark, Willy Adames. They lost that. Yes, it sucked. You knew it was going to happen. He wasn't going to stay. Then Christian Yelich isn't playing like an all-star. William Contreras really started out slow. He's starting to come back around. Bryce Terang and Sal Frelick look great. But other than that, you just got a bunch of average Joes out there. Jackson Chiriot looks better. He had a rough start this season, but then he just turns around. He's doing all right. So it's just, they are so up and down. Like, Jackson Chiriot hitting 236 is better than what he was. Bryce Terang hitting 293, that's really well. Sal Frelick 279, that's really good. Rhys Hoskins 291, really good. But then you look at the slugging percentage. They're just small balling teams to death. They're singling, and they're not hitting the home runs a lot. They're not doing a lot. But then this is what the problem is too. Vinny Capra and Oliver Dunn, where you're starting tandem at third base. By the way, Vinny Capra hit 490 in spring training, and everybody got all giddy about it. Guess what? I told you he was going to be cut. Why? Why is that? Because in spring training, pitchers aren't pitching to win. They're pitching to work on something. If a guy's developing a changeup, he's going to go into that start, and the pitching coach and the manager know, all right, this guy's going to throw like 85% changeups. And then some guys named Vinny Capra and Oliver Dunn go off on him for 4 for 5 in a game. Well, of course, he was hitting meatball changeups because the guy's trying to develop it. And managers now with spring training, they can just, after a certain point, they can just look at the other dugout and go, hey, we're done. Like, we're done with this inning. They can call an inning at any point in time for the pitcher's standpoint. So the pitcher just looks in the dugout like, hey, I'm kind of at a limit. All right, you're done. It's not the true, game anymore. And then you had to call up Caleb Durbin, who you got in the Devin Williams trade, who not hitting that well, but hitting higher than what Oliver Dunn and Vinny Capra were hitting, which at 174 is not good. The poor kid is getting baptism by fire, probably not ready for the bigs yet, but because they don't have a third baseman. They lost that. Joey Ortiz is not your everyday shortstop. I'm sorry. We've had him he's had 45 games under his belt, and he's hitting 170. I know it's hard to replace a Willy Adames. You're not, for someone who thought that Joey Ortiz was going to play like Willy Adames is delusional. But he is just not a big league shortstop. It's just not. He's a rotational player at short or a third base. He's a great utility infielder to give somebody a rest, but he's not an everyday shortstop. Bryce Terang should probably be your everyday shortstop, but they kept him at second base because he just won a platinum glove there. Okay, that's fine. And then the other thing is the Brewers are not a good defensive team either. They make a lot of errors on the infield. And, now Jackson Chiriot has moved from left to center, and they tried to switch some things up because Garrett Mitchell's kind of hurt now too, which isn't very good either. This Brewers team right now is a mess. And actually, instead of harping on them like I am right now, they're only 5 games out of first place in the NL Central, and they're 2 games below 500. If I would have told you all those things, you would have said, "Wow, they probably haven't even won 15 games." Oh, they're 500. Like somehow, some way, they're 500. If they get some arms back, if their bats get going, I can see them still winning the Central, and I can definitely see them being a wild card with the expanded playoffs. But right now, with this team right now, they are not there with it right now. It's May. You got 110 more games left.
Right.
Like you got at least, well, it's 50, 58, 100, 104 more games. That's a lot of games. A lot with 104 games. Give it some time. Hopefully, Yelich needs to turn around. That's first and foremost. 194 for anybody ain't cutting it, let alone for somebody getting paid $27 million who's an all-star. So this team is hurt, but they're also underperforming, which doesn't bode well, but yet they're still 500. I think that shows potential, but you got to get healthy, but you also have to start playing to your potential. So it's going to be a little bit of a struggle still. They beat one last night against the Orioles, who are a damn good team in the AL East, with a really good comeback. They play again tonight at 6:40. They had a rough go of it in Cleveland. They had a rough go of it with Twins. They had a really rough go against the Rays. That's where it was really like all of a sudden shit was going off. We're like, oh my God, you just lost to the Rays, 2 out of 3 to the Rays. That shouldn't happen. But then they did stuff like they won 2 out of 3 against the Astros, and you thought, oh, that could turn something around in your season after losing 4 straight, but then winning 3 straight, then losing 3 straight, then winning 3 straight, then losing 3 straight, and then they kind of sprinkled in wins and losses from there. They're just inconsistent. They got to find some consistency, which I would think help when they get healthy. So, but again, it's not just the health either. They're underperforming. Guys got to step up. Guys got to start playing to their potential. There's a couple guys that are, and then there's a lot of guys who are not. So we'll see. They got 104 more games left, people. Should we panic? No. Should we be worried? Just a little. But the season's not over yet.
Right. Totally with you on that, man. We always know how the Brew Crew get. Hopefully they turn them bats hot, around this time and moving forward. Let's hop out of just talking Wisconsin sports and get to Jim Bob Cooter Talks.
Topics. Oh, all right.
Obviously, we all know with the PGA. I know, go ahead and not to steer your thunder, but with the PGA, obviously,
no, go for it.
Championship, Scotty Scheffler went ahead and put on a masterclass performance.
America's
round 3,
sweetheart.
Good God. 65, and then obviously on Sunday he went in and closed it out with even. But I tell you, that round 3 of that 65, unreal. 7 birdies, 1 eagle, 7 pars. I mean, he was 78 on hitting greens and 93% of hitting fairways. That's due to the real app. That is disgusting.
He's a machine. He's a machine.
Absolutely, and it's crazy.
We talked about the Masters. The whole thing was Rory, as it should have been. He completed his slam. He completed the one that he could never do. And we were like, okay, I think we should look out for Rory McIlroy this season. Now that he's got this monkey off the back, he's just out there playing. He's playing with house money practically now. But now we get there, and Rory's spraying the ball all around the yard, and not hitting fairways, failed a driver's test, but apparently when I read into it, a lot of drivers fail these tests, which doesn't disqualify them from events, but it's really weird. I didn't get it, but it seemed like it wasn't a big deal, so I didn't even think about it. The conditions, Shane Lowry said a lot that we saw a lot just in general of players hitting out of divots and a lot of mud balls. That's what majors are supposed to be. Like, people are they can complain about it. I'm a firm believer, yes, if your ball goes into a divot, you should get it replaced. I know some tour players say no, some tour players say yes. It says it depends on the situation. it's a big gray area, but I just think if you hit the fairway, why should you be, I mean, if it get into a sprinkler head, you going to make a guy hit out of a sprinkler head? No. So why should he hit out of a divot? So I think if you hit the fairway and it gets into a divot, you shouldn't be penalized for that. You should be able to just move it 1 inch to the left onto the fairway. Who cares what the lie is like? It's the fairway. So,
right.
But that's majors. It's supposed to be hard. When players go to the U.S. Open and the rough is 3 inches long, 4 inches long, they're not complaining about it. They go, well, that's the U.S. Open. It's supposed to be hard. This is a major. It's supposed to be hard. I understand last year, Xander Schauffele won on the last putt to go 24 under. This year, Scotty went 11 under, and then the rest of the field was 6 under and more. It played kind of like a U.S. Open a little bit. So it's just majors. So the other thing that we can talk about is, again, a David wins, or Goliath wins over the Davids. If you looked at days 1 and 2, there's a lot of Davids in there. Like, there were people that you kind of knew, and then there were people who were like, who is this guy? So,
right.
That's where Scotty was, and then Jon Rahm came into the fray, and then Bryson kind of came into the fray as well. Thank God Jon Rahm collapsed. I do not want to see him win anything because he doesn't deserve. I shouldn't say he doesn't deserve it. I just no live golf guys. So it just kind of shows the dominance of like to be a Goliath in a major versus Davids, because in the past 13 years, 2 players have won majors that are outside of the top 40 world ranking. 2021 with Phil, when he won the PGA Championship at Kiawah, and Jimmy Walker in 2016. Who's Jimmy Walker, James? I don't fucking know, but he won a PGA Championship, and he was outside the top 40. That's how hard it is if you're not a Goliath to win a major. So, again, but more on Scotty Scheffler. It just became a game of people were chasing, and he just found his game and he played it.
Right.
He struggled on some. I mean, round 3 he was a man. He was Scotty Scheffler at his best, and when Scotty Scheffler's on his best, good luck. Like there is not many people in the world who can compete with Scotty Scheffler on his best day, and nobody was on their best. None of those people were on their best day, and Scotty was, and that just spelled trouble. Jon Rahm was on a good day, so he kept up, and Bryson was on a good day, so he kept up. And then in round 4, everything just kind of faltered for everybody except Scotty. Scotty had a pretty, not struggle, but just kind of like a grinding round for his first 9, and then he just started hitting fairways on the back 9, and then you were just like, this is over with. Like there is, right. Well, then other players started playing bad. But once other players started playing bad and Scotty started hitting fairways on the back 9, good luck. Like, yeah, no, nobody's going to catch him. He lapped the field, and it was just like a masterclass win for Scotty. And what does this mean? A lot of top 10 finishes. Are there a lot of good finishes and bad finishes from Americans because we are in a Ryder Cup year? This is what it always comes back to. After a major tournament, what does it look like for Ryder Cup standings? I think there is, for the Americans, I think a couple players solidified their standings in the Ryder Cup for the United States with the way they played this weekend. Bryson DeChambeau, Xander Schauffele, Justin Thomas. I think those guys are locks. Collin Morikawa probably is going to be a lock, but I mean, I don't see him not being on the team. He's in the automatic spot right now where a pick doesn't even need to be used on him. He's going to be there automatically for points. He's kind of on the line, but I just don't see him being picked out. Who kind of got hurt? Brian Harman a little bit got hurt. Patrick Cantlay did not play well. Tony Finau did not play well. Keegan Bradley, the captain, the guy who's supposed to be picking these teams, played the best. And he's kind of nearing the top 12 where you get 6 other players. If you're in the top 12, you're making a good case for yourself. And Keegan came out and said, if I'm in a position where I think I can play and I think I can win, I will do it. So Wyndham Clark really hurt himself. Billy Horschel really hurt himself. Our boy JT Poston had a really good weekend.
Yes, he
helped
did.
himself out. But there is a lot of Americans who played. Jordan Spieth didn't play well, but you can't ignore how he performs in the Ryder Cup. Max Homa didn't perform necessarily well. He's kind of going up and down. So what does it mean since the last major? Nothing really. Like, if I'm being totally honest, you just found out that there's 4 players probably going. Scotty, Xander, Bryson, and JT. Which, to see JT back into the automatic pick is awesome. Because it's one less pick where you're like, okay, JT should be there, but he's not, but we have to waste a pick. Not that it's a wasteful pick, but like you rather him be in the autos. You still got a couple guys in there that I wouldn't like to see. I didn't like Brian Harman in Rome when they were there, but the way he is apparently a very good match play player as an amateur and a very good putter that wins major championships. It might just be too big of a spotlight for him, but he's there. Patrick Cantlay is gonna be there. Like, if you watch the Ryder Cup for the past 2 Ryder Cups and seen Patrick Cantlay play, the dude is made for the Ryder Cup. He loves that atmosphere. He thrives on it. That's just a guy who you're like, he needs to be there. You would like to see Tony Finau be there because of his past Ryder Cup experience, and he's a long hitter. He seems to thrive on the moment as well. And again, a guy like Wyndham Clark, for the past 2 years, he was like one of the world's best in the top 10 rankings and top 20 rankings. And now he's just kind of starting to level off. So you get a little worried about Wyndham, and hopefully he can make a push to maybe start playing well at the end of the season. That plays big too. When we want to go back into this David versus Goliath talk of all these players in the top 40 versus everybody else, the U.S. Open, there's not going to be a player that's going to win outside of the top 40. The U.S. Open is going to be ungodly hard this year at Oakmont, and that course is ridiculously hard. So if a player outside the top 40 wins it, that's going to be crazy. Like, that's going to be Cinderella story type player, unless it's a guy like a live golfer who is like Phil Mickelson. I mean, he has the will to do it. The only last major which could really mess up these rankings for an American is the Open. You got to be good at links. You got to be good at playing these longer courses, or these courses that kind of take it out of the hands of the long hitters. It's more finesse. And then you got the PGA Championship, which only affects the top 180. Oh, this is where I need Tony for this shit, because he's always on this. It only takes like the top 170 players of the year to that 4-week playoff for the playoffs that golf has. So again, we're going down the line. The U.S. Open in Oakmont on Father's Day weekend. You're going to see some. If you love watching professionals be human, this might be the tournament for you this year, because this tournament at Oakmont is going to be, I think, is not going to be very high scoring. It's going to be tough. The roughs are going to be very, very long. The greens are going to be sloped, lots of bunkers, lots of trees. It's going to be so much fun to watch these guys look human. But then when you got Scotty Scheffler playing the way he is, and again, you can never count out a guy like Rory McIlroy, Xander, Bryson, you name it. You never know what's going to happen, but U.S. Open, expect a Goliath to win. If you're looking for Cinderella stories, you might want to skip it and wait till the Open at the end of the year. So that's my golf talk. I'm not the golf expert. I look into it. I watch the majors. I kind of watch some signature events, but that's why we got our boy Tony. If I have any questions, I usually just go to Tony. So he'll probably critique me on this when he listens and tell me what I'm wrong about, which fine. Hey, I'm wrong. And if you don't like it, then you get
on here.
Yeah,
He'll get
if
on
you don't
here
like
at
it,
some
if
point.
you don't like it, then you can log on and you can start yelling at me. All right.
No, before we go ahead and take these people out, man, who do you got going in the finals? You got obviously Timberwolves versus the OKC. You got Nuggets. You got the Knicks versus the Pacers. Who's going to the finals?
I think OKC is going to go. As much as I want Minnesota and Anthony Edwards, I just think going into OKC right now, like home, again, we talk about a 7-game series. The series doesn't start till a road team wins.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Minnesota can go into OKC and win a game. I'm not sure. The Denver Nuggets were a little dysfunctional because they fired their coach such a short time ago. I mean, it didn't look like the same Denver Nuggets team. OKC plays great defense. I think Anthony Edwards is going to struggle. They just look hungry. They just really look hungry, and that building, when it gets going, is a tough place to play. Now, for the Eastern Conference Final, I might be a little emotional about this, but also I think you kind of got to just look at it. With Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns, that's going to be a tough duo to beat. I know the Pacers are a hot team right now, and they got Tyrese Halliburton. I hate that guy with everything. And the annoying-ass Pacers team. I just think the New York Knicks, with Jalen Brunson, he's a top 3 guy, where if you have the last shot of the game, he's top 3 in the NBA. That's who I want. He's just cold-blooded. And then you got Karl Anthony Towns. I don't know if Indiana has anybody on the inside who can keep up with Karl Anthony Towns. I just don't think they do. I mean, that one guy who I keep forgetting, his Burns or something, I don't know his name, who destroyed Brook Lopez. Why? Because he could move, and Brook Lopez couldn't. I don't know if he's good enough. Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson's going to get his. So I think it's going to be OKC versus the New York Knicks. And if you get the Garden going, dude, like, good luck. And I think the Knicks are good enough. Like, a Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns are good enough to go into Indiana, which also is a good, tough place to play. It's a little less tough now that Tyrese Halliburton's dad is not on the court. So I do not like that. I heard some stories about Tyrese Halliburton's dad, which explains a lot. So can go into Indiana and beat them. I think they have the caliber of a team to do it. So I think it's going to be New York Knicks versus OKC, and I think that's going to be a series. Like, I think the offense of the New York Knicks against the defense of the Thunder, that's going to be physical. It's going to be energetic. It's going to be fun to watch.
No, absolutely. Man, Jimmer, it's always a pleasure, man. Like I said earlier, we're back on the saddle. We're getting this thing going north, south, east, west, wherever it's going. You guys have a wonderful week, great weekend. Be a good person. We'll see you guys.
Happy Memorial Day, everybody.
Absolutely. Birthday's coming up soon. But we'll talk about that later. We'll see you, people. Peace out.
Teaser.